If you've already completed this page, you don't need to necessarily watch the video unless you want to check your answers. This was last night's homework, which was Tuesday night's homework. I want to go over a couple examples, and I'm not going to do all of it, but I'll do some of it. As soon as you see a squared, square root, square root. Once you square root, x plus 7 equals plus or minus 10, minus 7, minus 7. That means it can be written as negative 7 plus 10 or negative 7 minus 10. Negative 7 plus 10 is 3. Negative 7 minus 10 is negative 17. You can use your calculator for that. Let's try the next one. Square root, square root. So you get x minus 8 equals. Now the problem is, here you could take the square root of 100, but here you can't take the square root of 14. So you go plus or minus square root of 14. Add 8, x equals. So you have an option 8 plus square root of 14 or 8 minus square root of 14. So what you're going to do in your calculator is you're going to go 8 plus the square root of 14, press enter, 1174, and then you're going to clear it up, and now you're going to go, let me move this over here, 8 minus the second square root of 14, and you get 425. Okay? Let's go to this next one. Let's try number 5. The problem is there's this 4 on the outside, so you got to get rid of it. The 4 is touching the parentheses. Parentheses means multiply. The opposite is divide. Divide that in your calculator. Now this problem looks just like this one. Square root, square root. But there's a problem. Because that's negative right there inside the square root, the answer is no solution. Okay, so careful of that negative. Let's do one more. Number 4, add 2. I can't square root it because I have stuff on the outside. Divide by 3. Now that it's just in the parentheses, boom, square root, square root. X plus 7 equals plus or minus 2. Minus 7, minus 7. So your two options as answers are negative 7 plus 2 and negative 7 minus 2. Negative 7 plus 2, negative 7 minus 2. Okay, negative 5 and negative 9. Now, you still have to do 3 and 6. I'm just doing some of the problems, okay? All right. What they're asking you to do is use the completing of the square to get the answer. So the first thing I do is I set this equal to 0. I'm going to add 2 to both sides. And I get 2 equals x squared plus 4x. Now what they're telling me is I have to complete the square. So what that means is I'm going to have to figure out what goes here. So I focus on this middle guy. The way to make it a square is to make it so these two are the same, which means that's a 2x and that's a 2x. So x, 2, 2. And then 2 times 2, boom, that's your 4. So that 4 is what's going to be added here and what's going to be added here. Now, 4 plus 2 is 6. Now, if you look here, x plus 2, this turns into x plus 2 squared. Now, square root. I can't take the square root of 6, so I leave it. Subtract 2 to both sides. My two options are negative 2 plus the square root of 6 or negative 2 minus the square root of 6. So I'm going to pick up my calculator. Negative 2 plus the square root of 6. Oopsies. And I get 44 cents, or 44 hundredths. Clear it up. Negative 2 minus the square root of 6. And I get negative 4x equals 0.44. Okay? Let's do one more. So this is, I'm actually going to do letter B. And I'm going to do the letter B right here. So, The great thing is it's already set equal to 0, so I just move this over here. And then I get negative 5 equals x squared plus 10x. They're asking me to solve by completing the square. So I put the x squared here, but I don't know the last guy because I moved him. So half of 10 is 5x. X, 5, 5. 5 times 5, 25. Now I completed the square, plus 25, plus 25. 25 minus 5 is 20. Now if you look here, it's a perfect square. Square root, plus or minus the square root of 20 equals x plus 5, minus 5, minus 5. My two options are negative 5 plus square root of 20, negative 5 minus square root of 20. So I pick up my calculator, move this over a little bit. Negative 5 plus the square root of 20, x equals negative 0.52. Clear it up. Negative 5 minus the square root of 20, x equals negative 947. Okay? So we've done B. You still need to do C for homework. All of these are homework. But I'm just not going to do every single homework problem for you. But I want you to make sure you get it. Okay? These three are exactly the same, but there's one problem. So I'm just going to do letter B, and then you have to do this one by yourself, and you have to do this one by yourself. The only way to solve by completing the square is divide by the number in front. If I divide by the number in front, now there's nothing in front. I can solve by completing the square. First thing I do, add 2. I need to complete a square, so let me make a square. X squared. Now I have the negative 8x. So what's half of negative 8x? Negative 4x. X, negative 4, negative 4. Negative 4 times negative 4 is positive 16. So that 16 is what I'm going to add here. And I'm going to add here. 2 plus 16 is 18. And if you look here, I'm completing the square. Now square root. X minus 4 equals plus or minus the square root of 18. Add 4. So one option is 4 plus the square root of 18. The other one's 4 minus the square root of 18. So once again, I'm going to get my calculator. And here we go. Clear it up. 4 plus the square root of 18, which is 824. And then I'm going to clear it up. 4 minus the square root of 18. And I get negative 24 cents. Don't forget the negative. So make sure you do these two homework problems, okay? This was last night's homework. This was Tuesday's homework, so make sure you get that done, okay? Then you're going to watch the next video.